Commander Replay. We check out this Yagmoth Superfriends deck and find out what happens when we run it against some other really strong decks. Next on Commander Replay. Hey everyone, if you like high quality oolong tea, check out this website, Cha Ceremony. Marcus sent me a few samples and his tea is fantastic, with Zhaozong now being my single favorite tea. So check out Cha Ceremony, link is in the description below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Yagmoth Thran Physician Superfriends today, and today's deck list comes to us from GoFundMe supporter Greg. And I've got a special shout out for Greg's kids, Jacob and Evie. I want to say thank you to you guys for watching the show. So with that, let's get going. Take a look at this opening hand. 2 lands, Prismatic Lens. We've got a Liliana of the Dark Realms, a card that's surprisingly expensive in paper now. That can get us more lands. We just need to find a 3rd land. I think I'm going to risk it. Let's keep. Actually, one thing I should have done before doing that is check the land count. It's 37, so okay. Got a Dark Ritual, Expedition Map, Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, all things, Everflowing Chalice, all things we could potentially draw into. A lot of ramp early here that could make life not terrible for us. So we'll just see how that goes. And at least we've got one thing we can do. We can do the Dreadhorde Invasion. We've got Prismatic Lens, so it's not like we're doing literal nothing. But, you know, I'd prefer not to miss this 3rd land and get to this Liliana nice and on time. So this is going to be interesting. I haven't really seen a Yagmoth Superfriends deck, but Yagmoth does have the text on it that says Proliferate. So it's certainly something that you can do. So I'm excited to see what this deck is going to do today. Oop, that's a Birds of Paradise. Got the promo art coming in for the Brokkos opponent. Brings back to our turn. There's that swamp. Yeah, not getting punished. All right. We will... Nothing to do in turn 1 here, so I guess we just drop in the Castle Locktwain tapped. And then we'll pass like that. Let's take a look at our commander. So we're playing Yagmoth Thran Physician, 2 black for a 2/4. Protection from humans, pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and draw a card. And then pay black, discard a card, proliferate. So the proliferate... going to be pretty helpful with the planeswalkers, but the other ability, the sacrifice ability, pretty good if you're trying to go infinite with creatures. I think we do have some of that in here as well. So all in all, my initial impression is that this is going to be a pretty strong deck. We'll jump over to the deck list again real quick. Saw a lot of ramp as we were taking a peek at things. We've got Gravecrawler, Crypt Breaker, Blood Artist, Reassembling Skeleton, Bloodghast, lots of things to sacrifice right there. Necro Skitter's pretty good in this deck. Thank God, because this card was printed way too many times without ever actually having a home for it, so I'm glad that it has a home now. Has, like, some amount of demand. Because that was like we need to print a black card that has no value and no one has no need for anywhere. Let's reprint Necro Skitter. Yeah, powerful stuff. Massacre Worm, Mikaeus, Sorin, Noxious Gearhulk, Liliana, all kinds of powerful stuff in this deck, so yeah. I think this is going to be a pretty strong deck. Curve looks pretty good. Taking a peek at it, pretty low on 4-drops. You could probably actually add a 4-drop or 2 safely, but certainly keeping a low curve does not hurt. I'd say the right amount of 5-drops, the right amount of 6-drops. Yeah, I think this deck is, I'm feeling pretty good, just kind of looking at it on the front half here. We draw Rise to the Dark Realms, which is a super late game play, but, you know, we'll hope nothing goes wrong before then. There's a Torbran at the table, some likelihood of a wheel. Could happen. Anyway, with that, let's get the swamp into play and drop in the Prismatic Lens. The Meren opponent did play a Ransack the Lab on their turn, by the way. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand, the rest into the graveyard. And with the Prismatic Lens there, we will pass the turn. Opponent says, Prismatic Lens in the monocolor deck. Yeah, that's just when you just want all of the mana rocks, especially ones that come in untapped. You'll find yourself running Prismatic Lens. Now, I'm not sure of every card in this deck, but if for some reason, actually, yeah, possible with Rise of the Dark Realms, if you acquire someone else's creatures, which can happen occasionally, it's not terrible to have something like a Prismatic Lens or a Fellwar Stone that can produce other colors of mana outside your deck. Because occasionally, doesn't happen that much, but occasionally you'll find activated abilities on creatures and things that if you acquire them from your opponents one way or another, that it is helpful to have other colors of mana so you can actually use those abilities. Again, it's a really niche scenario, does not come up all that often, but every once in a long while, it can matter. But in general, this is just saying that I want all the mana rocks, especially ones that come in untapped. And with a 4-mana commander, that totally makes sense. 4-mana commanders really lend themselves to these Signet-style mana rocks, because obviously you can get them in on turn 3, which does make them super good. But, you know, I've talked about it a lot on the channel. It depends on the type of setting that you play in. I am a big fan of multi-producing mana rocks. The trade-off there is that you'll be a little bit slow in the early game, but as soon as the game gets to turn 7, turn 8, turn 9, that's when you're going to be able to produce a lot more mana than your opponents. But if you're trying to play a game that's a little bit quicker, if you're trying to end the game by like turn 6, or maybe like a really consistent turn 7, then yeah, you're going to want more Signet-style rocks just because they're faster, they're easier to get into play. Oh, that's a World Shaper for opponent. When it attacks you, mill 3, when it dies, return all the lands. Well, it's a Meren deck, so there's going to be a lot of ways to sacrifice that thing. Yeah, World Shaper's pretty good. I don't know what kind of graveyard removal we have in this deck, so we'll need to keep an eye out for that. I guess Rise of the Dark Realms is not removal per se, but it's a payoff for opponent milling themselves like crazy, so that's something to think about. Tap land gains a life for the Brokkos opponent. Flensermite into play for opponent, so they're doing the infect thing with Brokkos. Yep. Pawn of Ulamog, it's a pretty good card. It does things. Let's try our commander. Actually, did we go for our commander yet? We're going to be on 4 mana right here. What kind of aggro is on the board? World Shaper is actually going to... Yeah, World Shaper Flensermite can actually kill Liliana. Ooh. Which means we probably want a creature first, so I'm thinking Dreadhorde. Dreadhorde Invasion's not the best, but... 4 mana is a little awkward right here. Maybe we are just on our commander. Because like next turn we're going to want to use the Liliana, so the question is what do we want to use to block? Let's just go for our commander. If opponents have removal, they have removal, but in a game like this, being proactive is usually correct. And our commander can block everything pretty well, so, you know, we get this now, we get Liliana next turn, grab a swamp. And we could also draw a swamp off the top. If we do, then we could look at something like Dreadhorde Invasion, Drolfs, or Pawn of Ulamog, Dreadhorde Invasion, and that stuff all seems pretty good, so, yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, this thing gotten strangely expensive in paper. I think it's like $20 now, and just feels like a lot, but it only has 2 printings, M13 and M14, so it has been a little while, and, you know, if you're playing a black deck and you just want to make all your land drops, which is generally a thing you want to be doing, I guess that's what you got to pay in mono black now. Now, I still use our Military Sphere in mono black a lot. I'll use it in mono black and mono red because they're not always super consistent with their land drops. I still really like cards that just find your lands for you. Our Military Sphere, Gift of Estates, stuff like that. And I will use those quite a bit. Just because powering your way through at least 7 land drops, I think, is really where you want to be in a game of Commander. And I get it. Things are faster now. You won't always need 7 land drops. But, you know, the second a board wipe happens, you're probably getting to turn 7. So you really want to have all those lands lined up so you can keep doing the other stuff. Like, if we miss lands here, it's going to be super awkward. Even though the deck's got a pretty low curve, we do have a 7-drop and a 9-drop in hand. Even just trying to get the Drolf's Messenger and the Dreadhorde Invasion in the same turn, probably going to be a little bit awkward if we miss a land here. While I was talking, Doc doing some things over there, he is piloting Torbran, Thane of Red Fell, so all of his red sources are going to deal an additional 2 damage, which is pretty good. Torbran usually just burn and aggro. Just good red stuff, melt life totals, is usually what you're talking about with Torbran. Pretty good deck. Kind of puts a limit on how long a game can actually go, because you're just expecting a lot of burn and a lot of aggro, so always a thing to keep in mind. They did play a Seething Song and a Pyretic Ritual, and they got their way into a Gauntlet of Power, choosing red, obviously, so any red lands will produce extra, and red creatures will get bigger. Opponent goes on the attack with the World Shaper into Torbran. And then in their second main here, they're going to cast Meren, gets back. I didn't see what. Let's check the game log. Kalitas, Trader of Get. That's a pretty serious card. I got to remember how the Infinite works for this. So you need a creature with Undying. We have one of those. You need 2 creatures with Undying, right? So if you pay 1 life, you sack a creature, you put a minus counter on another creature. We draw Bloodghast. Bloodghast is interesting. Not necessarily what I was looking for. You know, the question is there a land on top of our deck? I think I'm still going to go for the Liliana of the Dark Realms right here. So there's completely a possibility that, like, removal happens, a Fleshbag Marauder or something, and we're going to lose our Yagmoth, and then the Liliana will get attacked to death. All completely possible, but I really just want to hit this land right here. I just don't want to miss this land drop. That's, really what it kind of comes down to. So we will plus the Liliana. Hope that the thing that I talked about doesn't happen. Get a swamp. Play a swamp. And pass like that. Next turn, we can start doing the cool stuff. Hopefully all of our stuff survives back to our turn. Hopefully Meren doesn't go just wild right here. They did say that they have infinites in their deck. Meren being piloted by Pumpkin Swift, by the way. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty strong Meren deck. Meren, a very good commander, and has been one for a very long time. It's one of those commanders that, like, I don't know if you can ever build, like, a weak version of Meren. I lost to one, like, a little over a week ago. Super frustrating. Commander that I've lost to a lot in my life. Now, it gets weaker if you just keep shooting it. Like, the key to that deck is, like, shoot it and then also have a proactive plan yourself to be able to end the game quickly. And that's how you can kind of beat a Meren deck. Or have some sort of, like, repeatable graveyard removal, rest in peace, something like that. But Meren's definitely going to have ways to tutor up, like, Rexage and stuff like that. So, as good as Rest in Peace is, it's probably not going to stay in play forever. Now, I do remember a game a long time ago where I slammed the Rest in Peace. No one answered the Rest in Peace. You want to know what that Meren player did? They did nothing. And it felt great. Now, they didn't strike me as the type of player that had, like, the super spiky Meren deck. But it's still Meren, so, you take what you can get. I think we lost that game to an Eldrazi opponent. And that will happen sometimes, but yep. Here comes Chandra, Torch of Defiance. A really great red card. One that I need to get some of these in paper. That card is super sweet. A lot of things they can do with this. Now, Brokkos is thinking no. They're going to rewind on the Chandra, Torch of Defiance. The Chandra is interesting because I don't know if they're going for the mana mode right here. They could go for the damage mode. Shooting Meren, usually a good idea. But they could also shoot Yagmoth, which is also generally a good idea. So, it's kind of the question of what were they planning to shoot. One of those is really bad for us. One of those is, kind of bad for the Meren. It slows them down, but doesn't completely wreck what they're doing. Asked Doc, I was just curious what mode he was going to go with. He said he was going to go with the Exile mode. Okay. Meren could swing both at Liliana if they want. I wouldn't love that. It means that Funser Might could take it out. One's going to go on the attack with World Shaper into the Torbran once again, fearing the Torbran. Yeah, I mean, they've got a mana doubler. They've got 4 mountains. So they're not doing too bad over there. 8 mana when they untap, 10 they find another mountain. Plus Torbran's in, so, the damage potentially could start piling up very soon. Oh, also, opponent's probably trying to get this World Shaper killed. Zombie thinks he may have brought too slow of a deck. We'll continue on our opponents, by the way. We talked about Meren a little bit. Yeah, Meren really good. And then finally, Zombie Caller 4-2 piloting Brokkos, Apex of Forever. And looks like they're trying to do the Infect thing. Brokkos is like one of the fairest Sultai commanders I've seen printed, which, yeah, to his point, may be a little bit underwhelming for what's at the table right now. Very, very, very possible that could happen. Kalitas, Trader of Get coming into play. That's a pretty serious magic card. If a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, exile it instead and then create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Turns board wipes into a massive zombie army for opponent. So that's not the most ideal. Meren's going to get another trigger. What are they targeting? Targets, a Protean Hulk. Yeah, they've got infinites. That Protean Hulk, really bad time right there. We need to start doing some stuff. We need to keep opponent off of a sack outlet. We have a lot to do. Just like a lot of varied threats. We need to answer their graveyard. We need to kind of answer what's in play. It's gonna be a lot of difficult things to do. I wouldn't mind a land off the top. If we do, then I could probably think about the removal mode on this Liliana. Here comes Brokkos onto Flinsermite. Yep. I don't think we're the threat that much, so, like, just going to let that go. I mean, I'm not going to trade my commander in for that at this moment. It brings us back to our turn. We draw, Finale of Eternity is interesting. Destroy up to 3 target creatures with toughness X or less. If X is 10 or more, return all creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's interesting. Kind of caught some of our late game cards here. Now, this thing does have some flexibility about it, which is certainly helpful. Destroy up to 3 creatures with toughness X or less. Probably don't want to kill this World Shaper. Do want to kill this Kalitas. Do want to kill this Meren. Probably need to find some exile for the Protean Hulk. Let's just see. If we played like Geralf's Messenger, sacrificed it it would come back with an undying counter. Oh, what does this do? This does important things. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, create an Eldrazi spawn. That gets us some mana. Oh, I wish I knew the lines better in this deck. Are we on 6 mana this turn? That's 4 or 5. Yeah, if we search a land, we'll be on 6 mana. So we go Geralf's, Pawn of Ulamog. Every time Geralf's dies, we get an Eldrazi. I think that means at some point we can get Bloodghast. So, yeah, I think let's start by getting the land. That's probably the easy part. Get a swamp. Then if we cast Geralf, so we play the land, sack Geralf, put a minus counter on like Meren or something, we would get a token with Pawn of Ulamog. That gives us 1 additional mana. We could sack the pawn to put a minus counter on Geralf, and then we could sack Geralf again. Yeah, I think this is going to do good stuff. Okay, get Geralf, get the Meren opponent, ding him for 2 with the ability, play the swamp, play Pawn of Ulamog, use Yagmoth's ability, put a minus counter on Meren. I'd like to get Meren out of play. Oh, wait a second. You want to know what's going to make this not work? This Kalitas. Crap. Yeah, it's not good. Okay, I miscalculated that right there. On the other hand, we could have Finale of Eternity, both the Meren and the Kalitas. You know what I could have also done? Could have discarded a card, proliferated the Liliana. Crap. Well, we punted that turn. Hopefully it doesn't bite us. Yeah, let's just stay put. Next turn, assuming we survive with the Liliana, we can discard a card, proliferate, and then ultimate the Liliana, and that'll give us a ton of mana to really do some wild stuff. Here comes an Inferno Titan with plus damage. Let's see what this does. Opponent says too many targets. Yep. Keep Lily down, kill Meren. Alright, lose our commander. Ouch. Yeah, commander's gonna hurt a little bit. Did that not work right? If a red source you control would deal... Nope, he messed up. Here comes a War Elemental. He did hit Meren in the face, though, with one of those triggers, so that'll give some damage for the War Elemental. Hope we don't lose to the Protean Hulk right here. That's what I'm on. We need a removal right now. Kind of lost a little bit in the... I guess we can proliferate. Is this only from the battlefield? Would die. Okay, so we can discard the Bloodghast safely, which would put this up to 3. I don't really want to trade it in. Oh, that's bad. That's a Crux of Fate. Destroy all non-dragon creatures. Okie dokie. Opponent's going to get an army of 2/2s. This is going to be a bad time. 9 2/2s. Our stuff gets exiled, so some of our best stuff. Now gone. Yagmoth back to the command zone. So our plan is going to be raid opponent's graveyard for stuff, maybe? Actually, no. I think we're still lands away from that, so... experience counters for Meren, bad times. World Shaper, gonna probably get 1,000,000 lands. Yep, opponent has a lot of mana. World Shaper, pretty busted. Not a card that I have any love for. Seen this play pattern a bunch of times. So we're on 6 mana. We need to get to 9 mana, would probably help. That would get us a Rex Sage, a Beast Whisperer, Reaper of the Wilds. It would get us a Kalitas, get us a World Shaper. Yeah, so shooting the other thing last turn would have been a really good idea. Using the Finale of Eternity. Opponent's going to shoot our Prismatic Lens, not the Gauntlet of Power. Can't say I love that. This Viridian Corruptor. Yeah, a little bit awkward drawing Rise and Finale this early. Although, we should have used the Finale last turn. I misplayed. It bit us hard. There's a Cryptghast. That's a real card. Question is, will we live long enough to use it? That I don't know. So, plus Liliana, get a swamp, play a swamp, play... I forgot we have the Castle Locktwain ability. I don't think we're there yet. It's going to be a lot of life loss. Play the Cryptghast, play Dreadhorde Invasion, Extort. I'm just going to go for the Bloodghast. Hope we live long enough to untap with this stuff. Now, if we do, if we can untap with the Cryptghast... that actually makes us live to Finale of Eternity, which will shoot a bunch of things and potentially reanimate a bunch of things, and that all seems really good. Torbran back to play, sure. Yeah, opponent is set up to have the turn right here. Cracks a fetch. They're on 9 mana. Traverse the Uvenwald. Probably have Delirium. Yep, 4 card types. So we can search for any creature or land. Creature or land, reveal it, put it into hand. Good game. Viscera Seer, yep. Yep, Protean Hulk. And good game. Yep. Opponent sacrifices the Protean Hulk. Gets the Phyrexian Delver, yep. Yep, start the loop. So the problems right here were that we made a mistake, Torbran made a mistake, all of which led to no one interacted with Meren. If you don't interact with Meren, you will lose the game. That is the thing that will happen. I also felt like I didn't quite bring the right mindset to get in the proliferate mindset with Yagmoth, so let's just go to game 2 and we'll try everything out again. Hey guys, in addition to my TCG affiliate player link, I now have an affiliate link with Flipside Gaming, an LGS from my hometown. You can use the promo code REPLAY to save 10% on your next order over $10. Both affiliate links are in the description below. The 2020 GoFundMe is active. If you want to do one-on-one deck reviews with me, or get one of your decks played on video, be sure to check out the link in the description below. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.